Tonight, on Legislative Review. A review of criminal insanity and competency laws underway in the House. Plus, a cap on corporate home buying in Washington. And legislation to make college admissions more attainable for high school students. That's coming up on Legislative Review. Thanks for watching Legislative Review, your source for daily highlights in the state legislature. I'm Angela Nolasco. We begin our coverage today with a discussion led by a House committee.
Criminal insanity, or not guilty by reason of insanity, is an affirmative defense offered when a defendant claims they are not responsible for charged behavior because at the time of their allegedly criminal acts, and as a result of a mental disease or defect, they cannot understand their actions or are unable to tell right from wrong. Competency to stand trial arises when a party to a criminal case raises a constitutional issue that the defendant cannot currently be tried because due to a mental disorder, the defendant is incapable of understanding the nature of the proceedings against them or unable to aid in their own defense.
State representatives are proposing to create a task force to review laws surrounding criminal insanity and competency to stand trial. Members of the House Civil Rights and Judiciary Committee met Wednesday, February 5th, to hold a public hearing on House Bill 1359. The bill aims to create a task force to improve fairness and public safety in how mental health issues are addressed in criminal cases. The task force will include lawmakers, health officials, and legal experts making recommendations on improving legal processes and treatment options for defendants. One of the major functions of the bill is to codify Chapter 1077, a Washington state law concerning how courts handle cases of criminal insanity and competency to stand trial, which could determine whether a defendant should be committed to a state hospital or prison. Proponents in the state's legal system say the law is outdated and needs to change. A full report by the task force is expected by December 2026, and laws will be reorganized for clarity. Democratic Representative Milan Tai sponsored House Bill 1359, which received support from state prosecutors and judges, like Michael Finkel, who believes that codifying Chapter 1077 is a crucial step to serving justice to defendants it would affect.
The legislature created Chapter 1077 in 1973. Much has changed over the past 50 years in mental health diagnosis and treatment. Medications are different, our knowledge is different, the public view of mental illness is different, and the voice that advocacy groups now have is different. Chapter 1077 does not provide any guidance for how a judge should reconcile those differences. If you're going to have legislation dealing with mental illness, you really need to have input from mental health providers.
The Washington Federation of State Employees shared their recommendations to the bill.
We believe the task force is missing a critical perspective. There's currently no designated seat for a labor representative, someone who understands both state service and complex work of forensic evaluators. These professionals play an essential role in the competency evaluation and restoration process.
No one testified to oppose House Bill 1359, which also received support from the National Alliance on Mental Illness and the Washington State Association of Counties.
Homeownership is out of reach for so many families in Washington, and even families who have the income to buy a home, especially a starter home, find that more and more they're outbid by all cash offers, and that's especially true on the lower cost price point homes.
In the Senate, a move to curb large investment entities from buying up single-family homes. The proposed legislation, Senate Bill 5496, was discussed at a public hearing Wednesday morning. Under the bill, companies owning more than 25 homes would be banned from acquiring more, with exceptions for nonprofits, entities flipping homes, and investors purchasing homes as part of a redevelopment. By capping the amount of single-family units corporate entities can buy, proponents say it aims to prevent the price of homes from skyrocketing, which is believed to limit the market inventory for regular and first-time home buyers. They also say it would reduce corporate influence in the housing market and stimulate the economy by involving realtors and mortgage brokers in the regular homeownership process. Opponents argue, however, that investors drive up the value of homes, not the cost, and that the bill would prevent homes that go into foreclosure from being redeveloped or resold. Democratic Senator Emily Alvarado sponsored the bill. She said before 2011, no single investor owned more than 1,000 single-family homes, but by 2022, 500,000 homes were owned by at least 32 of them. And in 2024, 1 in every 6 homes sold in the U.S. was purchased by an investor.
These are homes that otherwise would have been purchased by Washington families. Studies show that institutional investment may increase home prices, and institutional investors often offer all cash, making it harder for first-time homebuyers to compete, and that's especially true for homebuyers using VA or FHA loans. And data shows that investors tend to purchase lower-cost homes on the market, which is concerning for first-time homebuyers who are competing in that same tier. We have a vested interest in making sure that in a tough market, Washington families have a leg up in buying homes in Washington.
The Northwest Community Land Trust Coalition testified in support of the bill.
Prices for land and for homes are skyrocketing before our eyes and have been for years. We believe that this bill tries to limit one of the factors that is contributing to that. These corporations have more money than any of your constituents can ever dream of having, and they're pricing homes out of the reach of your constituents. Many, if not most of them, are out-of-state entities, and they're just trying to make a profit, which is their right, but we're concerned about that happening on the backs of homeowners who are trying to just get by and join the American dream of opportunity, access, and intergenerational wealth.
Speaking against the bill, the Building Industry Association of Washington said it could cause a chilling effect on new investments if enacted.
This legislation is largely being viewed through the lens of what happens when prices go up as they have lately, but what happens when we have a market downturn and prices go down. We believe this legislation is not ready for prime time and that there needs to be more consideration of the real-world impacts on the housing market.
Taking a neutral stance while sharing concerns about the bill, Riley Bench of Washington Realtors said it might cast a wider net than intended.
Under the current bill, any business entity owning more than 25 units would be captured, even those domiciled in Washington state. We worry that as drafted, it could capture too many productive market participants.
If you are a student in Washington state and you have done the work in high school, you got pretty good grades, you took all your courses, you graduated, you have a place at the publicly funded universities that you and your family's tax dollars support.
In the House, a new bill aimed at making college admissions easier for high school students was reviewed by the House Post-Secondary Education and Workforce Committee Wednesday afternoon. House Bill 1557 would establish the Washington Guaranteed Admissions Program, or WGAP, which will ensure college spots for students with a GPA of 3.0 or higher and those who meet state academic requirements. Starting in the 2026 to 2027 school year, students who qualify will receive automatic admission to certain public and tribal universities in Washington. There are over 130 public school districts and school partners participating in WGAP. Among them are Central Washington University, Eastern Washington University, the Evergreen State College, University of Washington-Tacoma, Washington State University, and Western Washington University. Proponents say it will boost college enrollment, improve access to higher education, and support students from diverse backgrounds. Democratic Representative Julia Reed sponsored the bill.
Direct admissions programs are especially impactful for students who are on the, quote, go, no-go bubble. Those students who may not self-identify or may have been told for whatever reason that they are not college material. Students of color, students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds, and students from rural areas. It is incumbent upon the state to make higher education as accessible as possible, particularly given our state is facing a large predicted shortfall of highly trained workers to meet the needs of our economy and our future.
House Bill 1557 received support from the Council of Faculty.
This really is a smart, evidence-based strategy for removing barriers that keep students out of higher education. When students have that certainty, your high school GPA is something you start accumulating as soon as you start high school. And so if a ninth grader knows that, hey, if they sort of devote themselves to their studies and keep going and that they attain that GPA requirement, they're guaranteed a spot, it will be a motivator for them. And so we urge your support. Thank you.
The bill was opposed by concerned citizen John Axtell, who argued that admission shouldn't be guaranteed until an institution's standards are met.
A GPA means positively nothing, as every course and teacher are different as are the grades. This discourages students from taking courses they may find challenging.
During the hearing, the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction shared some implementation concerns about the bill, which they said they will work on with Representative Reed. That's a wrap for us tonight. Stay with us throughout the legislative session where we bring you all the top debates right here on Legislative Review. We'll see you tomorrow.